Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for attending our Washington Student Achievement Council OSPI webinar. Today in the room we have...
Hi, this is Joe Kiko coming from the Washington Student Achievement Council. Nice to be with you again.
And Linda Drake with the Washington State Board of Education.
And I'm Danny Zackelson, OSPI Program Supervisor for K-12 School Counseling. Today's webinar is entitled Implementing the 24 Career and College Ready Diploma, and we will also be giving you some information about the High School Beyond Plan. Both the Student Achievement Council, or I should say all three, the Student Achievement Council, OSPI, and the State Board of Education, follow the vision that after graduating from high school, every student should be ready for career, college, and life. And the components of this in the K-12 system is with the, well, it's new for some folks, the 24 credit graduation requirement and learning standards, combined with the excellent work of the Washington educators in all of our schools, and of course led by school counselors and administrators, where all students can graduate prepared for their next steps in life. And today the agenda will include information about best practices for the 24 credit diploma along with the High School Beyond Plan. And we're also going to give you some best practices and share some information about the personalized pathway requirement. We continue to receive feedback and questions about the personalized pathway, and this also will relate to academic acceleration and the dual credit capacity requirement, well, not requirements, but the information about dual credit will be thrown in there as well. But we do invite you, as Tony said, to type in your questions, or you can also email us later. So as we look at the 24 credit Career and College Ready Diploma implementation, it is the subject of many conversations that we see across the state in many schools and in school districts. And as a school counselor, it's often up to you and your work to make sure that each student understands these new requirements and has a plan to both graduate from high school and to have a meaningful post-secondary plan, a four-year college or two-year college or technical college, military, a certificate program, or even an apprenticeship. So this graphic, in which most people have seen before about the 24 credits, is not called Core 24 because there's only really 17 core credits that you can see in the blue. The remaining 7 credits are considered in the student's choice for their personalized pathway, which is based on their High School Beyond Plan. The 24 credit plan offers an opportunity for students to develop and follow a plan, but they need to start early, not just in their last years of high school, but we believe this should start in middle school. So 7 of the 24s we mentioned are flexible credits, and these include 4 elective credits and 3 personalized pathway requirements that are chosen by the student based on their interest from their High School Beyond Plan. So the 17 core courses are mandatory core credits that include 3 credits of science, 2 which must be lab science. 2 of the flexible credits we might know can be waived for students who have unusual circumstances. And this is done locally, and I'm sure that your school district has a defined policy from the school district. I know that WSAC does have a model policy that school districts can follow. For districts who need more time to implement the 24 credit framework, some of you it may not be the class of 2019, it may be the class of 2021.
Right. And just to mention there, about half of the districts in the state have the waiver. So if you're looking at students transferring in and out of your district, you want to be aware that they may not be on the same timetable as you in implementing the 24 credit requirement. All right, so why 24 credits? Well, under 6552, which was adopted in 2014, the 24 credit framework was designed to be both rigorous and flexible. The board hoped to keep all post-secondary options open for students, and that means the ability to meet the admission requirements for a four-year institution, but also to be flexible enough for students who want to pursue a program of study at a two-year institution or an apprenticeship, or if they want to follow a program at a career and a career technical education program, either at their high school or at a skills center. The Association of Washington School Principals have done a survey that indicates about 38% of high schools report being confident that their systems are in place to support all students in the new 24-credit environment. Just over 50% reported that some kind of support is built in to their school day, specifically to assist students who fail. I know that credit recovery is a big concern of districts, so you want to, as you look at implementing the new requirements, you want to, ask, is your school ready? Do you have your systems? Does there need to be an expansion of capacity in your systems to accommodate student needs? This chart was updated recently. It's available on our State Board of Education website, and this is a useful chart, particularly for counselors and educators. It's a little bit complex for students and parents, but this just shows the year-by-year requirements, including both the credit requirements and the assessment requirements. And you can see with the class of 2019, the requirements actually carry forward from that class onwards. So the class of 2019 onwards, the requirements will be staying the same. One quick note on the smarter balanced assessments. One of the responsibilities of the State Board is to set the score students need for graduation. And that score will carry through from the class of 19 forward until further notice. The board has signaled that they eventually do want the score for graduation to be the level 3 career and college ready score, but they haven't indicated the timeline for that change, and most likely it would happen with an incoming 9th grade class. They wouldn't change the score for students who are already in high school. This is the second page of that graph. So if you look at it online, it's the second page. If you print it off, you could print this on the back. This just shows more detail about the requirements, and we have several resources and links that are available on our webpage. So I'd encourage everybody to take a look at that.
Now we're going to talk about implementation. First, the Association of Washington School Principals, AWSP, has created a 24-credit workshop that school leadership can use in this work, whether you're starting the process or whether you're involved in this process. So Scott Seaman, Director of Secondary Ed and other things over at AWSP, and he created this so that people can have a discussion and use their worksheets with practical tools. So school counselors and administrators may be leaders of a work group who are presently doing this work or starting this work. And there's also 3 examples of schools who've made necessary changes for success. And they are Sunnyside, Todd Beamer, and Kelso. And these school district leadership are featured in this workshop. So we encourage you to take a look for new ideas for how to implement these new requirements. And this online workshop, the materials, there are guiding questions that a leadership team could use when thinking about the 24 credits. The questions on the screen can offer either a starting place or review where you are in this process of change to accommodate the needs of your students and to meet the requirements. So take into account that we need to advocate for all students, consider and develop culture, climate, and relationships in your school, and remember the urgency for college and career readiness for every student. So as you look at these questions, I hope that you can find yourself here, or maybe some of these questions would add a new dimension to what you're already doing. Depending on your school's demographic, some common questions about opportunity opportunities needs to be explored when making changes for the new requirements. Do you have equity for all of your students? These questions can help you take a look at your school-wide systems, from accessing remediation courses and credit retrieval courses to accessing rigorous course-taking patterns that may include dual credit opportunities such as AP, college and high school, or even running START. All students are equally deserving and capable of responding to educational experiences and opportunities that prepare them for success. What do your students need to thrive? So consider this when looking at this graphic, and it is also a part of the AWSP online workshop. The question that we have is, it's fair where everyone gets the same thing? So you might look at the graphic on the left. Or it's fair where everyone gets what they need in order to be successful. So when thinking about your 24 credit requirements, some of the things that come to mind when we're talking about eliminating barriers might be that school districts will redefine what a credit is, redefine use of time. For example, your bell schedule. I've heard Scott Seaman at AWSP say that some bell schedules haven't changed since 1960 when the school opened. So that might be something to take a look at. Re-image your use of resources, tackling historical practices, such as, well, we've always done it this way. Personalizing the educational experience for your students, and that's where our High School and Beyond plan and Personalized Pathway comes in. Thinking outside the box, and finally, eliminating barriers. So this is something to think about.
We wanted to mention the flexibility that is an opportunity for you under the 24 credit graduation requirements. These are certainly the topics for which I get the most questions. So if you have questions, please email me, or if you're in the webinar, you can certainly type in a question as well. But I'll go over these rather quickly. For students, we do have the flexible credits, the personalized pathway requirements, and the electives. There is the 2-credit waiver for individual students. That there is a WSAC model policy. Your district could follow the WSAC model, could adopt the WSAC model policy, or your district could create their own policy. There's CTE course equivalencies. These are courses that are identified either locally, or we have some statewide CTE course equivalencies now, a list of about 31 courses. And these are courses that meet 2 graduation requirements. They're a CTE course and a core academic credit. The core academic credit is what should be noted on the transcript so that the student could use it to meet college distribution requirements if they want to. 2-for-1 has been around for a long time. It's a course that meets 2 graduation requirements for 1 credit. For example, a PE credit in dance could also meet an arts credit. These are locally determined 2-for-1 credits. There should be some credit retrieval or credit recovery options in place for students. There is PASS for migrant students, summer school, 0-hour after-school opportunities. I think what is actually a best practice is to look at the possibility of offering credit for a high school and beyond plan or advisory course. High school credit can be taught in middle school. It needs to meet high school standards, but it is possible for high school students to, or for high school credit to be awarded to middle school students. Typically, this is often done for math courses and for language courses. Counseling to keep students on track each year, school registration process, streamlining that, dual credit running START, and competency-based credit. Flexibility for school districts includes the waiver to delay implementation. The flexibility in the definition of a credit. There is the removal of an hour definition or the time definition around the awarding of a credit, competency-based crediting. The ability to change the time and structure of the school day, and the choice in class offerings.
I just want to mention that at our next WSAC OSPI Wednesday webinar, the title is Dual Credit, and at that time we will have a good discussion about the difference between 2-for-1, the course equivalencies, cross credit, dual credit, because sometimes those are ideas that people get confused about. So we will be going over that in detail at our next webinar. But we also wanted to look at what AWSP's online workshop talks about change, and change can happen. And I won't go over this in a lot of detail, so you can read the screen and answer those questions yourself. But it does involve engagement with leadership, looking at your data, looking at the new graduation requirements in relation to your grad rates, and being able to drill down to see who are the most vulnerable students for failure. And then conducting an audit to see which programs or services are missing or which ones are working so that you can assist your students. We know that with budgetary crunches, undersized counseling staff, more demands and needs from students, demographics, and technology challenges, that we see the changing role of school counselors. Nationally, we see this changing role from offering responsive services to more emphasis for splitting time carefully between students' academic, career, and educational planning and their personal and social needs, of course. That is where a lot of your time is spent as well. So we believe that in answering some of these questions, it might streamline your work in changing to the 24 credits. And how do we close this gap? We believe that every student gets an opportunity. Some kids need more, and then we need to drill down, as we said, to follow the most vulnerable students. So the work that we do with students for their future does start in elementary and middle school, not just in 9th grade. So the guidance curriculum, the standards are driven just like academic courses. We have standards for guidance curriculum in our state. And school counselors can create an action plan, calendar the lessons, collect and process perceptive data when using these lessons for middle school, elementary school, or high school. And our state has created Career Guidance Washington for grades 6 through 12 to help with the implementation of the High School Beyond plan. But secondly, that intentional guidance involves communication with administrators, staff, students, and parents about the overall requirements for the 24 credits and helping students to stay on track. Utilizing the requirements and tools in your own student information system is a first place to start. So being innovative, you saw that on the slide earlier about equity. Being innovative to meet and work with students about their personalized pathway is needed frequently in small groups and, of course, individually with students. And finally, the data, where we can drill down to find information out. We will talk a little bit more about data later in this presentation and give you some resources for that.
One thing I want to just mention here is that I know that some of my school board members are very passionate about closing the gap. I think it's something that almost all educators around the state really feel is very, very important. And there's more and more research now that good planning and good guidance really is effective in closing the gap, both in secondary and in post-secondary education. So I just want to, emphasize that the work you do is so important. So these are some resources available. There's a new frequently asked questions about implementing the 24 credit graduation requirements. This was developed as a result of some workshops that we did last spring. Denise helped me out with some of those workshops. We collected all of the questions that we got from participants in the workshops and assembled them in an FAQ. there's also some other colorful visuals and other things on our State Board of Education website. And then both OSPI and the State Board has some information about high school and beyond plans. As we mentioned earlier, the time basis for defining a high school credit was removed back in 2011. And that sort of made it a little bit more easy for districts to develop competency-based credit. Competency-based credit encompasses strategies that can be broadly employed throughout teaching and learning. It's a credit opportunity for students that could take place largely or wholly outside of a traditional classroom. And there is a lot of flexibility for districts in developing those opportunities for students. Right now, there is the seal of biliteracy that allows students who have facility in a world language to earn credit for being able to be fluent in that language. WSAC has created a model policy for awarding credit for competency proficiency. The policy is for world language, but it could be adapted to other subjects. And finally, the State Board created a competency-based crediting handbook. So there's a new resource that is also available on the State Board of Education website. One thing I do want to mention that I think is a best practice that I hear occasionally, but every year I hear about it, and it's the case where you have a student who has missed say a geometry or algebra 1 course, and then they have gone on and been successful in higher level math courses. I think it's the best practice for districts to have a competency-based policy in place that would allow that student to keep going and not have to go back and take a lower level math course. In that case, success in the higher level math courses would be demonstration of their competency in the lower level math courses.
And you know, with that, Linda, our higher ed admissions directors for our public baccalaureate have said that they automatically know that if a student has a hole and has skipped or has taken the course in middle school but it's not on their transcript, they realize that the student has met those requirements, otherwise they wouldn't be able to be successful in the higher level math. So even though the high school and beyond plan is considered a non-credit graduation requirement, you can offer credit for the high school and beyond plan under the competency-based credit policy. The high school and beyond plan does revolve around who am I, what can I become, how do I become that, and the culmination of a multi-year process to help students think about how to get the most out of high school and about their post-secondary plans, like we said, can be for credit. Students, when they create their individual personalized pathway through the high school beyond plan and revise this plan annually, this accommodates their changing interest or their goals. But being purposeful about their selection of courses to align with their interests is what is important for each student. And we know that they will change their mind along the way. When they are identifying their career goals, their 4-year course plan to meet their graduation requirements, including state assessments, and to make an articulated plan for after graduation. You can find a high-quality high school and beyond plan, some documentation about this at the State Board of Education, and that's the last link that you see on this slide. So a high-quality high school and beyond plan is the expectation. The personalized pathway, like we said, is individual, that's based on a high school and beyond plan, where students need to have a plan that starts in middle school and is revisited every year. The basics include identifying their educational goals, identifying career goals with an interest inventory or assessment, making a 4-year plan that aligns with the student's goals, and identifying the assessments that they need both in high school and for their post-secondary options. And as a best practice, middle school counselors need to make sure their students are educated about this before high school counselors go over to their schools. And I just saw a study yesterday when I was doing some research about elementary counselors. And they also should include and start incorporating age-appropriate career and college exploration activities. So when we look at the personalized pathway, it should not be confused with career pathways, the 16 career clusters, or other initiatives that you might see, guided pathways, career pathways. There's a lot of other initiatives that have the word pathway in there. So when you talk about personalized pathway requirement based on the high school beyond plan, it's an individual plan, and you can see what the WSAC says about the definitions there. And the first thing that is there is talking about locally determined coursework. So you think about a student who might want to attend the University of Washington and be an engineer. Their four-year course plan would look very different with compared to other students. For example, their coursework would include as much math and science, probably calculus, if you offer AP Calculus BC, would be the top course for math, and of course physics, and as much math and science as that student could get. Compare that to a student who, say, wants to be a diesel mechanic and wants to go to a skill center, and maybe your school offers auto mechanics or auto program that has an articulation agreement with Undertech Prep with a local community college. You can see how their four-year course plan would look very different. That is the personalized pathway. So this just explains further how, if a student chooses to follow their personalized pathway, it can lead to using those 2 credits of 2 arts, 2 world language. That is not a requirement if students' personalized pathway plus their 4 electives dictate that they would want to do something different. So we just like to point this out because there's been some confusion about what is the personalized pathway. So this is a graphic that we think is very important.
Right. I think there was some confusion I encountered recently that the personalized pathway is only for pursuing a career and technical education pathway, and it really is not. It's for whatever the student wants to do.
It's for everybody.
Yeah.
So the personalized pathway implementation, you can look at 6 questions. We've been asked to put together more tools. So this is a worksheet that is from Career Guidance Washington from the High School and Beyond Plan template from that lesson. It's lesson 12-9 or 11-9 or 10-9 or 9-9. Anyway, lesson 9 in the High School Career Guidance Washington series. And the personalized pathway, like we said, is locally determined, identified in the student's High School and Beyond Plan. But the courses that are chosen by the students are included here. But we want to know, how does this connect to the career interest of the students? How do the courses I'm taking connect to their career pathway or their college major? As Linda just mentioned, it's for everybody. And what are the steps I need to take, and how will I work with this? What is my timeline, and what if I change my mind? So those are the basic questions that students will need to answer for their personalized pathway. And this might be done one-on-one with students. It might be done on a worksheet. It could be done in a classroom discussion. That is really up to you on how you want to go about implementing the personalized pathway and getting that information to students. So right now, we look at what's happening in your classes. December 7th, 2016, what's happening? Well, for the class of 19, the 10th graders are looking to make their plan for the last 2 years. If you have a 2-year waiver, then you're talking about 8th graders looking at their plan. So the questions that come to mind are related to being on track and having their personalized pathway match their post-secondary plans, whether it's a 4-year college or a 2-year college, technical college, or whatever it is post-secondary. But the main point that we want to emphasize is that students need to be deliberate about their plans, whether they're going to use dual credit opportunities for college credit to help them get ahead, whatever it might be. There needs to be a lot of discussion, because oftentimes it's the 11th grade where students decide what avenue they're going to take. But hopefully with High School Beyond Plan, they've started thinking about it earlier. And if school districts do have a 2-year waiver, the questions about the 24 credit are somewhat the same because there is, but you have more time to transition and focus on the requirements that are important.
All right, so here are some more resources. The OSPI Graduation Toolkit is updated every year. The AWSP video and resources, and really if you're looking at changing your high school bell schedule, AWSP are really the experts. They've done the most work in that area. I think that about half of districts a couple years ago had a 6-period day. I think that there are districts who have changed since then, partly because of the work AWSP has done and the resources that they have available. The State Board of Education has resources on our website on the High School and Beyond Plan. And then there is a electronic digital High School and Beyond Plan available through WSAC. So if you're a member, you should contact them if you're interested. If you're not a member, there is a minimal one-time fee to set it up, the digital High School and Beyond Plan, so that it can tie in with your student information system.
We've heard back from folks who are using the digital High School and Beyond Plan, and they really like it because it's so simple to use. It's one less thing on their plate that they have to worry about because it is involved in the student information system. Parents can access it just like they can access grades and so on. So the folks who are using it say they love it because it's easy and simple. You really don't need any training for it, but WSAC or your ESD can offer some training.
What was the name of the organization again?
For the High School Beyond Plan, electronic, first of all, your school district student information director would contact the ESD to get the plan. It's through My School Data at WSIPC, WSIPC. And WSIPC are the folks who put together Skyward. So those school districts who use Skyward just know that WSIPC is the governing organization above that. So in My School Data, it is free. If your school district does not have Skyward, then you could contact the ESD or you could contact WSIPC individually, and then they would tell you how to get the hookup and what the minimum fee for the hookup would be. So the tool itself is free for everybody. So we're really excited. We know that there are hundreds of school districts in our state who are presently using it. So I just want to mention something that Linda talked about when talking about changing your schedule. One of the things that AWSP has said about changing your schedule, make sure that you have best practices that go along with changing your schedule, because changing your schedule itself, if you just add a 7-period day to a 6-period day, what AWSP says, well, that just gives kids more opportunity to fail. So we have a lot of resources for you when thinking about best practices, when thinking about how you might change if you do have a new schedule or you're making other adjustments for that 24-credit diploma. So another major area for school counselors when we know that you're spending your time working with students is your career and college readiness. So Career Guidance Washington has been updated. It has 29 to 30 lessons, and that's what's been out on our listserv recently. So take a look at it and see what new lessons might be there for you. And there is also an emphasis on folks being career ready that connects students to the workforce early after completing maybe a 2-year college or other program. So you will hear more discussion about career readiness as opposed to college readiness. But really they're kind of the same, but they're kind of different. So everybody we'll be taking a look at that, the State Board of Education. I know that the workforce folks, OSPI. But for us as school counselors, we know that this is that every student needs a developmental journey to complete their career and college ready plan while they're in high school and for their future. So we will continue to say the word college, and we will define that as a four-year college, two-year college, technical college, industry standard certificate program, apprenticeship, or military training. So Gear Up has shared with us through the Washington Student Achievement Council some resources they're called family newsletters, and they're for high school, but they're just excellent resources. And of course, the College Board has the Counselor Connection, and I just want to point out that elementary and middle school career and college readiness, there are lots of really good resources here in the Counselor Connection, because we do believe that this work starts in elementary and middle school. The School Counseling Department, OSPI, continues to embrace the work for elementary counselors where they do maybe citizenship or student interest lessons or small groups. And we know that middle school counselors do work with students for career development to enhance the work that they will have in high school. And many middle schools do have career fairs. So these links might be helpful to you in your work. And we also wanted to talk about, for high school, the transcript coding. We've shared this information at every presentation that we have as a reminder to make sure that your state course codes and your transcript course designators are up to date. This coding is very important because the data that shows on your student transcript is reviewed by colleges when students apply. So the course designations are very important. And state data is reported publicly on your state report card at OSPI. So the data that goes in is also the data that is shared through ERDC, the Washington State Education Research and Development Center. It comes directly from your school district. And we know that many school districts need to correct their course designators and state course codes on the transcripts. We also would like in the future to be able to punch a button and say this many students we know have met CATRs and are considered college and career ready. But we can't do that at this time. We can't get that number. We get asked the question, but we can't get that number until we know that those course designators are correct. So here is another plea from me at OSPI to say, please take a look at those. We also have other informational links that are here. You can find out a lot of information about the course designations at the transcript guides and FAQ. And a good way to do that, you can follow this link, or you can just go to the OSPI search box and put in transcripts, and it'll take you to that page. The dual credit webpage is full of lots of good things, and we're in the process of making that page a little bit easier to navigate. And of course, we continue our partnership with the Washington Student Achievement Council. They have many great resources, one of which is Ready, Set, Grad. But also the CATRs page. If you look under policy and you go to college admissions, rich, rich resources for you. The State Board of Community and Technical Colleges has a lot of good resources about how to become a college student, a community college student, and a good description about dual credit as well. And of course, the dual credit lookup tool is housed at the Ready, Set, Grad for Student Achievement Council, but it's also on the OSPI dual credit page. So we hope that you're using these tools. For OSPI, we have equity analytics, and this is what I consider to be a part of evidence-based school counseling, these academic resources. So for academic, the evidence-based school counseling means that you are using data to make informed decisions to find out ways to help all of your students. Maybe you're using SMART goals to identify a particular group of students, or maybe you're just working with your MTSS or RTI models. Maybe you have PBIS in your school. But OSPI prepares interactive worksheets, charts, and animations at the state and district level to support these data-informed decisions. And they are on our website, and you can see the link that's there. Currently, you can see we have those kinds of tools for attendance, discipline, graduation rates, post-secondary enrollment remediation, and state assessment. And coming soon will be the ninth grade failures, although there are some resources for ninth grade failures there at this time. Dual credit in February, financial aid, SAT, ACT scores in May, but we'll also be looking at some other data analytics related to kindergarten preparedness, so we know our elementary counselors would be interested in that, as well as student growth percentiles for 4th and 6th grade for ELA and math, and science assessment for grades 3, 8, and 11. And then, of course, high school credit in Algebra 1, which middle school and high school counselors would be interested in looking at. And then the last one would be post-secondary persistence that goes along with post-secondary enrollment and remediation. So we're sort of on the 101 level. This will be something that will continue for many years at OSPI. To access what you might want to look at now, go to the green button under K-12 and data and reports, and you can see these data analytics there.
I think this work that OSPI is doing is so exciting and so important and could really help you on a day-to-day basis with your work. Taking a step back, I just wanted to mention and put a plug in for a report that the State Board of Education recently put out. So if you're interested in looking at the big picture, at the statewide indicators, the State Board just put out a new report on the statewide indicators of educational system health. And these are just sort of a quick lookup of how the state is doing relative to other states, and basically there has been progress in Washington State on all of the indicators, but not enough progress.
And I'll be sending this link that Linda's talking about on the OSPI Counselor Listserv later this week. It's on my to-do list. So I just wanted to mention the monthly webinars from GATE that do go along with the equity analytics. So each one of these equity analytics has a monthly webinar that's related. And for example, the one that we did on November 9th for ninth grade failures, if you didn't have a chance to see that, I would really encourage you to go back and look at the recording on the GATE website, because it does connect to the 24 credits. We had 2 school districts there, Ephrata and Mount Baker high schools, and they talked about the things that they're doing. And as I listened to them, it was very, I don't know, it had a lot of insight into what people are doing for their High School Beyond plan and the 24 credits. But I hope that you've signed up for this monthly webinar. They are different from the Student Achievement Council OSPI monthly webinars. They're on different Wednesdays. So we just wanted to mention that we have almost 4,000 people now on our listserv, and it continues to grow because there is a lot of partnership that goes out. So I know the Student Achievement Council, State Board of Community and Technical Workforce, State Board of Education, College Council Presidents. A lot of those folks will say, "Hi, Denny's, can you send this out on the Counselor listserv?" and other folks at OSPI. So we do think that people are benefiting from the information that we're sending, and we do appreciate the partnerships that we have. I just wanted to mention some things that will be coming soon will be related to ESSA. So if you haven't had a chance to look at ESSA, I encourage you to go to the OSPI website and click on that page. But for school counselors, under the leadership of Dave Forrester, he's a counselor at Olympia High School. He's the president-elect for the Washington School Counselor Association, and he has a committee who's been looking at ESSA to make recommendations specifically for the school counselor involvement in the ESSA. So right now, ESSA Consolidated Plan is in the review process. There are some opportunities for you to have input. So if you go to that page, as I mentioned on OSPI, you can see, first of all, you can learn about it, but you can see how you might give input. But you can also email Dave Forrester if you have any ideas about that. It is related to adequate yearly progress, which will be no more. Assessments, state assessments, they will remain the same. We will be ending, or that has ended, highly qualified teachers. But all the title programs we will be taking a look at. And, 7% of our budget that we receive from the state is from the federal government. So the ESSA is pretty important to our overall work that we do. So the monthly webinars that we are doing with the Student Achievement Council will continue. And these workshops are from 10:30 to 11:30, and the registration is posted both on Ready, Set, Grad, and we will continue to send these out on the listserv. So the registration is on this screen in case you have not registered for them. So when you register once, it registers you for all of these workshops. So the next one will be on January 25th, and that will be on dual credit. And we are excited about the opportunity to present some new materials to you at that time. So we're going to pause here to see if we have questions.
We do. Let me address this one. We had one question early on about posting the WSDA model policy for the 2-credit waiver. And WSDA stands for the Washington School Directors Association. And if you email me, I can send you a copy of the policy. I can't really post it on our website because it really belongs to WSDA. So I would encourage you to go to the WSDA website. And for a while, they had their model policy on the 2-credit waiver as one of their featured policy. It may still be there. So I'd recommend going to the WSDA website or contacting WSDA directly for a copy of the policy, but I'm also happy to, if you want to email me.
Or I would say start with your district office, your school district office, in addition to looking at the policy, and then to see what your school district has, and you can add to it.
Right.
There's a lot of opportunity in that policy.
So the next question we have is, can districts decide to award credit for passing the state SBA or EOC tests?
Yes, they can. That would be part of competency-based crediting, and you can do that. The district would have to have a policy in place that permits competency-based crediting.
And then the next question is, can you explain more about how students would get credit for the high school beyond plan?
Okay. So I'll start with, we know many school districts who are giving credit through their advisory, and a best practice would be a 0.25 per year, so the student earns 1 whole credit at the end of their high school. However, there's the opportunity for competency-based credit.
Mm-hmm. Right, so that it really is up to the district how they would like to design it. I know that some districts have in place the advisories where they award usually partial credit per year for a year of advisory. We are looking at creating sort of a model curriculum for a full course that would be at least partly competency-based that would include that could include sort of career-connected learning experiences that that students could earn high school credit for, maybe a full high school credit for. But it's really up, we're looking at developing that model curriculum, but districts are also free to develop their own curriculum for which they could award credit for high school and beyond planning.
Okay. So some questions are coming in at the end here. Let me just double check.
Some more questions are coming in at the end, so we'll be getting to all of those.
Yeah, and we've definitely had a couple of people follow up. Could you clarify the WSAC acronym, so what the letters are and what they stand for, one more time?
So while Yukiko is looking up the questions, WSAC is the Washington overall agency. It's not an agency, it's a company who puts together over Skyward. So Skyward is your student information system. And
the acronym itself no longer stands for anything. They actually go by WSAC.
Yes.
And they're a cooperative of districts, even some districts out of state, I think.
Yes. Thank you, Linda. I had forgotten that it's not really an acronym. It's the name of their company, WSIPC.
Right.
WSIPC. So if you just search WSIPC.org, you will find it. And so on their homepage, they have the opportunity to, you can email them or you can call them, but it's best to go through your student information district office person to have them make contact, or you can contact the ESD. And I have sent the individual contacts, who would be the individual person at your ESD. So whoever has that question, if you wanted to email me, I would be happy to share with you your ESD's individual contacts so that you could actually call that person and have a discussion with them.
Next question is, what are the expected updates for the high school and beyond plan? Right now, we have the hand, key, running start, and transfer student credits in the high school and beyond plan.
Yeah, there
Sure what that
really is not any state requirements for the high school and beyond plan other than that students have one. So it is up to districts how they administer it and what is included in the high school and beyond plan. We have a lot of resources online about what are best practices.
And I know that when I was a school counselor under our student information system, those were built into our grad requirements, so I didn't have to hand key those. It was something that was built in. So, you know, you might want to talk to your registrar to see if there's another way that you could go about getting that information so you didn't have to do so much hand work. Because I know that's time consuming, and we live in an electronic world and we want everything to be electronic, especially tracking graduation requirements.
And then one part that we definitely wanted to follow up on is, will the PowerPoint be available so people can use the links that were in the presentations? And then we will be posting the Wednesday webinars on our Ready, Set, Grad webpage. So if you didn't know that, we definitely do post it the following Monday. But the PowerPoint, I believe Denise will be making available.
So what I can do is get a list of all the attendees for this webinar, and I will send out the PowerPoint, but I also will send out the AWSP questions that were on board, some worksheets that were related to that online workshop, and any other thing that, as I'm looking through, that I think you might benefit from, I'll send those documents out as well so you could have them, and then you could refer later to the recording to get the notes and the specific things that we talked about.
Okay. Next question is, what is an example of the code Z on a transcript or non-instructional?
Non-instructional would be what Linda had talked about with the code Z is what we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Code Z would be non-instructional for something like the EOC, the end of course exam. Anything else that does not have a course description. It's just something you're getting credit for because your district has decided to do that. And it is under, it might be under competency-based credit, but it could be under some other things that are non-instructional.
Okay. The next question is, with regard to the state testing credit, could it be credit enhancement or credit recovery?
That would actually be a locally determined. For students, I've heard it used most often for credit recovery. So for a student who, say, takes a math course, is unsuccessful in the math course, but then is proficient on the math exam, then they are awarded credit or partial credit for the math exam.
And then one person asked, you refer to the WSAC website. Could you repeat what it is once more?
Oh, it's the Washington School Directors Association.
And what is the website?
ICA.org.
If you search WSSDA, it will take you to that site.
Right, it's the Washington State School Directors
There
Association.
you go.
Someone had a question. I work at an alternative high school. Many of the students I work with are interested in attaining their high school diploma. What personal pathways courses would be a good idea for them?
Well, you would first start with maybe a career interest inventory, and then you would think about what courses you offer at your school and match them up as best you can, but also in your work to help the student with what their next step would be, post-secondary plan. You would just match up what you have and whatever the student wants to call their personalized pathway, it's certainly up to them.
I believe that's all of the questions that we have at the moment.
So if you do have other questions, you can feel free to email any one of us, and we will be happy to work with you. So we just thank you so much for attending today's webinar. And as we mentioned, the next webinar will be January 2017. Sounds funny to say that. And it will be about dual credit. And if you're not already registered, you can register at this link. So thank you so much, and I hope that all of you have happy holidays. Bye.